I remember.
Doesn't work.
I remember my webinar days. There's always a.
All right. Yes, here we go. Well, welcome to your top Wednesday advanced call. My name is Jared Krebs. I'm here in San Antonio. And before we bring on today's guest, I want to remind you of 10 things to expect when building your USANA business. Number one, there will be ups and downs, just like anything. Number two, success or failure is up to you. If you succeed, it's because of you. If you fail, it's because of you, not because of the person who invited you to USANA. Number three, the goal is for you to become independent and be an independent leader for your team. Number four, make your plan on the weekends. Do it, review it, and make adjustments. Plan, do, review, and adjust. Number five, it's going to take time. It's going to take 1 year to become competent at the skills to do this. It's going to take 3 years to become a significant part-time earner. It's going to take 5 years to become a full-time earner and 7 years to become world-class. It's going to take time. It can happen faster, but it's going to take time. Number six, it takes consistent work and hustle. You've got to be consistent. There's nothing more important than that one. Number seven, you're going to have to grow and get outside of your comfort zone. Number eight, mental toughness is necessary. Number nine, the grass is not greener in other companies. I've seen people leave USANA and never make what they made in their USANA business. And number 10, this is a long-term game. USANA is 27 years strong with over $2.5 billion paid to its associates. It's allowed me and Crystal to have a full-time income for over a decade, as well as thousands of people around the world who have a full-time income with USANA. But hundreds of thousands have made a part-time income with USANA. And few have done it as well as USANA's first associate. We are so honored to have you on the line, Sterling Otteson, Foundation Executive, Diamond Director, and I am so excited to have you on this call. Think about it. He's been with USANA since the very beginning of USANA, 27 years. We're all in his business. You are in for a treat tonight because you're going to hear from one of the very best. Sterling, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We want to hear from you. What were your highlights? What was your challenges before USANA? How has USANA impacted your health? How has it impacted your finances and your family life? And what is your life like today from USANA? And we want to hear from you for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end.
Thank you, Jared and Randy. I appreciate the invite. This is a real treat to be here. Wednesdays are a great week for me. It's kind of like the hump day of the week. It's if you haven't got things going, you got to get going by Wednesday if you're going to make it a great week. And so I appreciate the honor. The Krebs are some of the best people I know. These are the guys in the white hats and horses. They're always there. They are congruent in what they say and they do. And I have high respect for these individuals. I get a lot of requests to talk and to come on webinars, and I can't take them all. But when this one came up from Randy and Jared, I thought, I've just got to get these guys in. They're worth it. They're worth it. And you're lucky to have good upline. I have no upline. There's no one to call. And Dr. Wentz doesn't take my complaints. So I've just had to learn to work it through. And that's probably a good statement for everyone, anywhere in their business. Before I go further, am I coming through okay? Sound all right?
You sound great. Okay. Sound perfect.
27 years. This is when I met Dr. Wentz. But before I go into USANA and how that all began, I need to tell you kind of what I was and what I was doing before. Because I think I'm not much different from anyone else. And I think it's important you hear some of the things that happened to me so you can relate and kind of push through wherever you're at. I was a father of four when I met Dr. Wentz, and for 7 years prior to USANA, I was in an alarming business. It was called the alarm business. I installed alarms. And the reason I did that is I wanted to own my own business. I didn't feel I could get ahead working for someone else. And so I thought, I've just got to own my own business. And as I understood the burglar alarm surveillance business, there's something called residual income in it. I had the right idea. I wanted residual income. I chose the wrong company or the wrong industry. When you install an alarm, you get a residual from the monthly monitoring. And I thought, that's it. That's how I'm going to do it. I could not calculate what stress and liability that would bring to my life and my family. And as the years added up, it got worse. Maintenance, liability, late night alarms, not a duplicatable business. And you want a business where as you grow, it can let you go. This one was putting weights in my backpack. I finally came to a point after I did alarms for some good people in network marketing. I just thought, what am I doing? Right idea, residual. I've chosen the wrong industry. And so I chose to change. I had to, because I was the father who was gone all the time. I had 4 children under the age of 10. I was gone. I was gone. And there wasn't much fishing. And I love to fish. There was not much fishing at all. And so I chose to look at network marketing because of some people that I did alarms for in their homes, and you get to know them well. But as I look at their products, they didn't make them. As I looked at their comp plans, they were so hard I couldn't even understand them. I thought there's got to be something better. And I think the key thing is, if you're in a similar situation where you feel like you're backpacking it in life, meaning you're really carrying a pack, there's got to be a better way. And all I can say is USANA is the best company in the world. Health matters most. People matter most. And this is a people business. I heard someone say once that people are business, and business is people. It's the best thing there is. When we have a chance to help improve people's health for those that want it, and to help those to build a business of residual ongoing income, what else is better than that? Unlike my alarm business, which got heavier as it got bigger, as my USANA business got bigger, the weight came off. It's exact opposite of what everything else in the world is. It was so great. And so as I sat with my wife, I had a chance to meet with Dr. Wentz at Go Laboratories. And this was in 1991, a year before USANA launched. It was a full year. And a friend and I had an invite to go up to Go Labs because we had heard through their VP that Dr. Wentz was considering all options to launch the best nutritionals in the world. Pharmaceutical grade, never heard of, none of that. And as I went up to look at this, my wife says, I hope it works out because what you're doing is not. And that really stuck with me. She'd never said that. And as guys, we tend to hang with something probably a little longer than we should, when we really just need to cut it loose and let it go. So I went up and we met Dr. Wentz at Go Labs. And I don't know if many of you know that early history of USANA, but Dr. Wentz, when I met him, had spent 18 years at Go Laboratories, which he owned. World-renowned microbiologist, PhD in microbiology and immunology. And when I walked through the doors of Go Laboratories, I thought I was in another world. Glass and stainless steel. We went up the staircases, kind of like USANA today. And all of the cell culture labs were upstairs in these big test tanks and glass rooms. It was like a science fiction movie. And what he did was he built and sold viral test kits for hospitals and labs around the world to test for viruses. If you got sick, you went in, they drew your blood, cell culture tested, they could tell what you had. Dr. Wentz created those kits to help diagnose disease. And he was number one in the world, number one. And as we went into this number one situation, I had no idea that I was walking into a situation where there would be so many more number ones in this, firsts that had never occurred. Never had in network marketing had a world-class scientist with decades of expertise brought that to the forefront to start a direct sales company. It's always a VP that broke off from someone else. It's always a marketing who hires a doctor. Dr. Wentz was everything. He was the VP. He was the president. He was the world-class microbiologist. As we went through Go Labs, I looked at everything and I just thought, holy smokes, I'm in over my head. It was instant intimidation. And we were there to tell him what to do. But everyone has a need. And this was Dr. Wentz's need. He made viral test kits, and as part of that, he grew human cells by the trillions every day. No one grew more human cells than Dr. Wentz. He had to feed them nutrition in their solutions, thus the big test tanks. He learned what human cells needed at the cellular level. How do you keep cells alive out of the human body? He was number one in the world. And he really had kind of reverse engineered what we need in the form of supplementation. And that was it. That was the beginning. USANA was not yet even a name. He wanted to tabulate. He had already picked up facilities across town, which we went and looked at. Pretty shocking. He was already experimenting and learning and looking ahead on how to make and create, which is kind of what we need to do in our lives. Learn how to make and create as we go forward. And as I came home, I realized in a single day, everything had the potential to change, which is exactly what happens to us when we join USANA as an associate. No difference then than there is now. I had to wait a year. You don't. There was no USANA name. Those came over time. But Dr. Wentz wanted to and became the first man in the company in the world to manufacture nutritionals at FDA specs. They didn't know what to do with him. What do you mean? You don't have to. You're part of the nutrition industry. He was in that viral pharmaceutical FDA environment with Go Labs. He knew that arena and what they would require. He would elevate the nutritional industry to a level it had never done. USANA was the first company to do pharmaceutical grade vitamins, which means nutritionals you can trust, vitamins are honest, they dissolve in 20 minutes, and they come from a source that the FDA regulates, where regular vitamins never had been. It was always a guess, and it was usually not enough or what it should have been. So Dr. Wentz and USANA, which means true health in Latin, was the first company 27 years ago to bring nutrition to a level it had never been seen. And we did it all ourselves. All ourselves. Shocking thing. It caught everyone off guard. And a thing that was also important is when we met with Dr. Wentz, we didn't know exactly everything we needed, but we knew what we didn't want. We didn't want a comp plan that was so hard that people had no chance, which then and today is still, I think, largely the case. We wanted a friendly commission plan. People could be paid weekly, and 27 years ago, no one paid weekly. It was always a monthly check until another first. And so on we went, and I remember those first few weeks and months at home, we were just pinching ourselves. Could this really be real? It was hard, though. I remember when we opened up USANA, there was no line at Go Labs for people wanting to join. We literally had to go out and start. It felt new. People were cautious. It's a brand new company. And the counter that I used is, this is the greatest. We're publicly traded, most are not. We make our own products. We're the first pharmaceutical grade company. We have a comp plan that you can live with and succeed at. And slowly, bit by bit, which is the way it happens in our business today, we grew. And the only advantage I have over you folks today is just time. I invested my time in a great company, and I didn't quit, even though someone else did. You know, we have to get past those first few years. We have to be consistent in what we do. I think a lot of times when people come into USANA, they make all the preparations, they load the boat, they put in the fishing poles, and they go out, and they just sit in the middle of the lake, and they don't even pick up their rods and cast. You got to cast. You got to make efforts, and you've got to be consistent in doing it. USANA has been such a wonderful, wonderful thing. Here's a few things that happened in that first few days that I'll tell you about that I really don't mention often. But I remember that first day after we went through a tour of Go Laboratories, which would later become a branch of USANA. Dr. Wentz looked at us, and he didn't say a word. He just stared at us. It was the hardest meeting of my life. His VP was the one that talked. And I was just so worried because I felt greatness. I felt here is a company that's not a startup. If the 20-year-old company, Go Labs, is going to do an incredible thing. Dr. Wentz just looked at us, and he folded his arms. We had no idea. I remember walking out, and I thought, what did we didn't say? What did we not do? And I went home, and I've kind of felt like that was it. The big fork in the road suddenly looked closed. We called back the VP. We found out some things Dr. Wentz was concerned about. One of them was networking. He had no experience with that. The other thing was he was considering other options. And we gathered a few tidbits. We went back 2 weeks later to meet. And we knew this would probably, if we didn't cover certain concerns, it would probably be the last meeting. And one of the things that I felt like asking, and it came to me as I was there, just out of the blue, and I said, Dr. Wentz, what will you, or have you estimated the cost of these great vitamins, these great nutritionals? What would they cost? And he says, and that's the first time he spoke. He says, we're estimating them, they'll be around $65 to $85 a month for 2 bottles. And I said, Dr. Wentz, your other options like store shelves, different venues, I don't think will work. You have to involve people in the process. Even though the product is important, people are more important. You need people to tell the story. Your greatest dream will sit on a store shelf because it will cost too much. People won't understand what it is. They got him. It was a thing that made a difference. He considered that. And a year later, when we launched, and I know sometimes we feel like our nutritionals cost a bit, the essentials, as we called them back then, sell essentials now, they were $65 for the first year. So if you feel like things are expensive in 1992, they were more. They were the best, but they were more. And as production went up and as costs of goods were being covered, we came down. But I just felt like then, as now, the luckiest person in the world. Because what was my alternative? I wasn't going to go backwards. And it's interesting how often, as we get into a little bit of resistance, we want to turn backwards to where we came from that wasn't working anyway. We have to go forward. And when you choose to do something like this, that is a fork in the road that can change everything, you have to stay where you're going. You've got to develop skills. You've got to get better at what you're doing in everything. I remember the first year we were handing out VHS tapes, and there was no USANA.com. It was those kind of times. I remember when CDs came out, I thought, hurrah. I remember when CDs went away, I thought, today we just send links, we jump on Facebook or Twitter, but it's all the same. The method of delivery is different. The message is always the same. People matter. Your health is important. Build for your future. It is so, so, so important. I ran into someone 2 weeks ago that I met 22 years ago. I took him on a tour of Go Labs, who was just still there, USANA, which was being built, and he chose not to join. Ran into him at a fair. And I looked at his reality, and as we talked, he enrolled. He enrolled 22 years later. But I look at the time lost. And another variable in this is your time now. Make really valuable use of your time. He asked me an interesting question. I've never been asked. He said, well, how much do you make from your 001? How much have you made from that? And I'd never been asked that question, which was interesting. And I said, Jim, I don't know. It's still paying $1,000 a week like it was last time we talked 22 years ago. And I think that the take-home message is this. Our health is important, but don't underestimate how important it is to make something of a residual nature in your life. You have to do it. It's worth it at all costs. It's important to get good and stay consistent. Because the time will come when you'll want to do and contribute and be involved in other things in your life. I'm heavily into scouts. I work and donate a lot of time in our church. I have 9 grandkids. We go to Lake Powell. I just got back from the Florida Keys, tarpon fishing. This is the time to go. The Kona Coast on the Big Island's coming up for marlin. In other words, there's things you want to do, but you've got to have the firepower to do it. But it takes years to pull it off. And once you have it, you've got it. It's important to develop that stream of income that USANA can do. Whatever you need to do. And I think, if anything, that I really want to leave you with, Colette calls it her why. Jim Rome, one of the favorite recorded people that I've never met, calls it your philosophy. I call it your core. But you've got to be resolved deep in your heart about what you want and what you're going to be, or we tend to be wandering generalities forever. That's not a good way to live. A few years ago, I was down in Las Vegas at a leadership meeting for USANA, and my wife and I sat by someone, a sharp young lady, My wife is sitting next to her, and I saw something happen. We talked with her a little bit between speakers. She'd been in USANA 4 or 5 years. She was an achiever. And I said, what is the difference that would make this go for you? And she says, I don't know. Hopefully that's why I'm here today. And I could tell that it was a little bit more involved. And so I just kind of watched her, and we went to lunch with her. We came back, and something really happened. All of us have a little piece that we need to fit into the machinery to finally make it go. Whether it's confidence, whether it's self-image, whether it's time, whether it's maybe getting some better presenting skills, maybe following up even after presenting. Amazing how many people present but don't follow up well. If we had not followed up well with Dr. Wentz 2 weeks after we met him, USANA would probably not be here. Its follow-up is key. We had to cover concerns. Had not that been done, I don't know where it would be now. I know where I would be not. I would probably be in that ugly alarm business. But but here's what happened to her. During that Saturday afternoon, suddenly she just broke into tears. She's sitting next to my wife, and I've learned long ago that when women start tearing up, I found it's better I don't say anything. I just say, I hope things are all right. But what happened to her is she found something in that speaker that was meant for her, that completed the puzzle so she could fully engage. So her core was complete. And I just kept in touch with her. I said, here's my card, here's this, and here's how you reach me. And I'm careful about who I give that out to anymore. But 6 months later, she was a gold director. In other words, events occur if we're looking, if we're exposing, if we're making effort that slowly, bit by bit, complete us. And so the advantage of attending these webinars that the Krebs do at our convention, anything, there's something there that helps everyone in a different way. We can't be an island. We can't retreat to ourselves. We have to be engaged in improving our skills and be resolute about what we want to be. Now, if you're not sure what you want to be, my surprise and my discovery early on in USANA is people don't know. They really don't know. Steve Covey, a personal friend that I did an alarm system for long ago, had an interesting statement, and he says, most people, and they go through life and they never ask themselves, what is it I really want? They skirt around it. They become masters of generality. They become Clydesdales pulling a horse down the road until they can never go any further. It's important to ask yourselves, what is it that you really want? If you want to be a gold, a ruby, and emerald, that has to be front and center. It needs to be on the wall. It needs to be your screenshot when you fire up your computer. It's got to be real for you, because that's the only way it really happens. Because it helps us going. It helps us to keep going when we have day by day or week by week ups and downs, which we do. We all do. You know, even when you're a 1-star or 2-star diamond director, we all have our individual moments where that person didn't join or this person didn't show. And the reality is when we are resolute about what we're about, our core is complete, we just keep on going. We keep going. I think it's important to let you know that when I go fishing, I don't always catch a fish. And sometimes I'll spend the morning doing hundreds and hundreds of casts. And my wife says, why do you keep going? And I says, because it's important to cast. Sorry about that. But we have to do that because people need something like USANA. And most of them don't know it when we talk to them, meet them. We have to help them understand why this is important for them. They don't know. They're lost in a world of mass information, most of which is meaningless. They have to be specific. We also have to get good at certain things. When I go fishing, I'm a dedicated catch and release. I release everything. When I take people with me, it's a requirement, and I'm pretty tough on that. I fish plastics, hard baits, lures, jigs, gitsits. I don't use worms, and I don't do power bait. Don't. You can't bait fish and release; they just swallow it. And but I have grandkids now, and they can't cast. when they're 3 or 4 or 5, but they want to go fishing. So suddenly, for the first time in my life, I have to resort to how to put on power bait. And so what am I saying with this? And that is, there's people in USANA that, whether you attend events, a webinar, a meeting, that may have information that can help you. Kind of like that lady we sat by. I had to call a friend, get humble, and learn how to put on power bait, because that's the only way I could get my grandsons to go with me. Well, it was hard. You may have to ask for help from your upline, from sideline, from crossline, because we're not all good at everything all the time. And we have to update. And so after 25, 30 years of casting big lures and marlin to tarpon to stripers on the boil at Lake Powell, I had to learn how to put on power bait. Part of the process of getting better. We have to adapt ourselves to what people need. My grandkids needed to bait fish with power bait. I didn't need to. They needed to. As you work with people that you're bringing on board or that are already on board, be adaptable in your skills and your willingness to help them. Because remember, business is people. And these people that we bring into USANA, most likely, will be your best friends in your life. How will someone feel about you with 4, 5, 6 years later, they're a gold director and they can cut back or will walk away from their job? How will they feel about you and the time that you've spent being involved with their lives to help set them financially free? They'd take a bullet for you. They really would. Nothing better than helping someone succeed in life. It's why we're here. Making people better with their health, helping them become more than they would have been had they not met you or been involved with you in a company like USANA. There is nothing better. It's just the rest of the world that gives less and does less, where USANA helps lift, complete, and push people forward. And so, Randy, Jared, I guess that's all I have for right now.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I can't believe that USANA almost might not have happened without your follow-up and handling objections of Dr. Wentz when he was a prospect for network marketing. Wow.
We're all prospects.
Yeah, we're all, that's true. And I mean, think about all the wonderful things that have happened in our life thanks to USANA, and so thank you for handling Dr. Wentz's objections 27 years ago. That is so awesome. And I love what you say about asking for help. Especially in the social media age, I've had to ask for help on how to do basically my business over again in a lot of ways. And it's exciting now though that we have this and it's established and there's different ways that really work with connecting with people on Messenger. And we got our first question here. We have time, by the way, for 2 more questions. So if you have a question, type it in. First come, first serve. This question is from Facebook Live, Clara Martinez from Tempe, Arizona. She says, Sterling, so many people have a hard time saying yes to an established company. So I'm curious, what made you say yes to starting a journey with a brand new company?
That was my greatest concern. Great question, by the way. The thing that I saw before I met Dr. Wentz USANA back then and now is new startup companies come and they disappear so fast. I actually wanted to join an established company. I really did. I wanted, because networking is best if it stays. To involve our people in something that we work hard, and we can be individually great, but if the company shuts its doors in 3 or 4 years, all is lost. I did want an established one. I couldn't find the products. I couldn't find the comp plan. And so when I met Dr. Wentz, I thought, this is as good as it's ever going to be in a startup. He's got world-class potential, all of the backing, and he's personally involved. He had decades of excellence before I met him. He's 27 years and he won't go away. He's not for sale, like so many things are in life. His passion is here. It's interesting that Dr. Wentz has never taken a salary from USANA. He's sold some of his stock over the years, but how many CEOs would just forego a salary and just take stock? None of them. He's committed and always has been. And so I felt safe in joining a startup, but I really investigated it carefully because I just wanted it to stick and stay. And I found then and now, most of the startups are just that. They start up and they stop down and they're gone. And so I think for us to join a company that makes its own products, that has a comp plan that's still by far the best, it's the way to go. It's hardly worth the risk of the startup when the odds are so high that our efforts are gone if they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that helps.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sterling. Great question, Clara. So we have 3 more questions. Everyone stop the questions. That will be enough. I want to make sure we get these 3 in, the top 3. So we have a question from a guest, a first-year associate, and a 20th year associate. Okay. So let's start with our guest. Okay. Marcus Hicks from Colorado says, how has USANA changed your life in ways you didn't expect?
My first meeting that I did at a downtown hotel, Dr. Wentz came to, and we had, I think, 40 people come. And I told a story then that I was grateful that I had an emphasis on health, because before that, I did not. And I even told a story of where down by BYU, I joined a year before USANA. I got involved in a hot dog eating contest outside the football stadium, and I won it. There were hundreds of people that joined. I ate 21 hot dogs with buns in 30 minutes. Big stadium hot dogs. I should not have told that story with Dr. Wentz there. He walked up, and he didn't smile much back then. And he looked at me and he says, I feel like revoking your distributorship. Not the right story. And so I guess what has improved for me is I take better care of my health than I ever would. I understand the importance of using the essentials and other things. Fish oil, don't forget fish oil, and the other things. I take better care of my health. As I have gotten older, I was 32 when I met Dr. Wentz. I'm 60 now. I promise you, health means a ton. The time will come in your life when health will become everything. I've lost friends that are my age, and I just feel like it's so important. It's so important to have and be grounded in things that matter, and your health is it. What's the other big thing? I'm a better father, and I'm a better husband. I'm around where my father was not. I have time, I have freedom to go and do those things. I also, because of USANA, I'm able to help and do and be available, because in life, you will have unexpected moments come up, and we have, where you'll need all the firepower you can get. If someone says money's not important, or especially residual income, they just don't understand. They don't. I like what Zig Ziglar says about income or money. He says it's not the most important thing, but it certainly ranks right up there with oxygen. You need that, because it opens the door to options and things. And so USANA has changed that. The last thing is our best friends are in USANA. And friends mean everything in life. Remember, people matter most, things matter less, and ultimately not at all. I really believe our last breath here is our first breath there. And so as you consider what you're going to involve your life with, always choose people. Always choose improving and helping and serving. Everything else doesn't matter a lot. That's what USANA's helped me to do and do a better job at.
Boom! Wow, what a question, Marcus Hicks. Oh man, I love it. I love what you said about the health, like how it's impacted your health, becoming a better father, your friends. I mean, these are things I wasn't even on my radar when he asked that question. Great question, Marcus. Our next question is from Sue-Ann Knobloch, first-year associate. She's actually number 21 top client enroller in the United States market right now. So she is trending like to get an award at convention. She's doing awesome.
Great job. Great job.
And she asks, how do you get past people's skepticism in talking to them about being an associate?
Great question. Really great question. First, understand why they feel that way. Seek to understand before you seek to be understood. People have concerns. Dr. Wentz, 27 years ago, was concerned. about USANA being a network marketing company. He didn't understand. There's some companies out there that back then, not that great, as there are sometimes today. I think the thing that I help overcome people, again, and I prefer to talk versus text, this kind of thing, but I feel like the thing that makes a difference is explaining the reality of what it is. We're all going to be an associate of something. It can be your job that will take your life and give you little at the end. It can be a business you start up by yourself, for yourself, which I did in the alarm security business, or you can join a business where people matter and you can get to work and grow and be something. We have to get beyond the stigma of direct sales, because life is sales. Life is nothing more than good communication skills. And USANA is the very best. And I just say you have to just get around it. And sometimes even drop your pride a little bit, because the best things are just on the other side of our own inhibitions. And that is an inhibition that can be costly. Got to get beyond it. Let me help you. That's what I do.
I like it. May have to transcribe that.
Always offer to help. Let me help you do this. Let me help you understand. Let me help you get involved. Welcome to our team.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Sterling. Our next question is from 5-star Diamond Director, Foundation Executive Diamond, Brian Penrod.
Oh, the greatest.
Watching on Facebook Live right now. He says, how much potential do you see in USANA USA's future?
Great question. And, immense amount of respect for Brian Penrod. This goes way back. Here is what I honestly see now and in the future. I remember when, 10, 12, 15 years ago, our U.S. market was just exploding and growing. And then we started opening up other markets. And I went to some of those other markets. And I think as leaders have evolved and gone global, I think it has quieted our U.S. market. I think there is a perception that other markets are easier. And maybe in some ways, a few of them are, some of them are not. But I also am a strong believer in the good old USA. I think if things are a little slow here or level here, it's because direction or focus is elsewhere. I just really believe there's acres of diamonds in our own backyard. And if there's one mistake that I have made in my USANA career, it was looking way over there and going over there and ignoring what was here. I just feel like when we can reach out here and build here and grow here, I think ultimately it's the best. Our prices are the most stable. Our currency is the most stable. I just think the focus has to be here. I never see the U.S. market going away. I never see that changing. I simply see that we have to put out and work a little harder. As I look at the raw numbers of contacts, invites, follow-up, and everything else, our U.S. market has all the potential in the world. I live in Utah. I'll never look further than Denver, Colorado, or Phoenix, Arizona. There's just no need. There's just no need. I believe that our market here will always be the most stable. I think our residual and auto orders will always be the most stable here, as they are. I think in our foreign markets, it's a little tougher with that. And I see more fluctuation there. And so I'd rather stay here. And I'll always just rather stay here. It's more duplicatable. And that's what our business is about.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Yeah, so true. All right, we had one last question come in from Adriana Perez. She's in her second year. She says, do you follow scripts to prospect or just start up a conversation?
In my earlier days, when I had nothing to say and I didn't know, I scripted, yes. I followed a few scripts just to give me a little bit on how to go, because I felt like then, when you don't have anything, you tend to flub up the worst. But I think any approach is better than no approach. A poor cast out of a boat is always better than no cast at all. And so my simple scripts are, if it's text to text, or hopefully text and then can we talk, I just always keep it simple and short. I believe that, like fish, the more we keep our mouths open, the more likely we are to get in trouble. And so I just like short things. What's my favorite script when I'm talking to someone? When I say, here's what USANA is about, I'll just say this. This is the greatest company in the world. They make most of their own. Their commission plan's better. We all need something that can retire us, that can change everything. Most things won't. This is one of those that can. Let's get together and talk, or let's get on and come into my webcast room and let's go over some things. That's what I do. I mean, that's 90% of what I do. This is something you need. Let me help you do it. Let's talk. So my first approach is just to get them to a place where I can present a little more. I don't approach and present all at the same time. It's a 2 or 3 step process. Too much is always too much. And I think people's ability to absorb everything from beginning to end doesn't work. Approach and then present, however you choose to do that.
Love it. Sterling, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your story with us, to answer these questions in such profound ways. I'm going to definitely be watching this recording. I know many of us are as well. And I just want to thank you personally for taking time. And what is the last piece of advice you have for everyone who will watch this video?
Always think long term. I love what some of my early mentors in life said, and that is begin with the end in mind. It's really important to decide what you want, what you're going to be. What is your end result? You know, to your family, a spouse, what you leave behind, what you want to be known for. Decide what it is, and that may take adjustment and recorrection as you go, because your vision will raise as everything else raises, because a rising tide will raise your boat. But you have to start somewhere. Don't venture out on the sea of life without some firm core elements about what you want to be. Decide now, because it helps you get down the road a lot better. Remember, this is a business that's so unlike anything else, because this can help us become more, do more, be more, serve more, have more. Most other things don't do that. And so take it seriously. Being casual, in Jim Rome's word, being casual about things leads to casualties. Don't be casual about your USANA business and your life in particular. Plan it, work it, be serious about it. Be serious about it with a smile, but be serious about it because it's worth doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Sterling. Great advice. Everybody, let's unmute the lines and say thank you, Sterling, and have an awesome day.
Thank you, Sterling.
Thanks, Sterling.
Have an awesome day.
Thank you so much.
Have an awesome day. We're going to call you right now. Thank you.
Okay.